Hello students, welcome back. Myself Pushpendra Singh, and today we are going to start with our daily current affairs for 22nd of January 2021. All right, and this lecture would be useful for your current affairs coverage for your various competitive examinations like the civil services examination which is conducted by the UPSC. All right, so here we are basically going to cover the news which is relevant to your current affairs, and we are basically following the two national newspapers. You can also refer these two national newspapers. The first is the Hindu. You can also refer the Hindu newspaper, and the second is Indian Express. All right, both of these newspapers are equally good. You can refer any of these newspaper for your daily current affairs coverage. All right, so let's begin with our lecture. So the first news is basically the Sarichu River, right? It is a river which is basically in the Arunachal Pradesh. Arunachal Pradesh is a state within the within union, right? So it is basically located precisely in the Upper Subansiri district in the Arunachal Pradesh. So it is located in Upper Subansiri district. In Arunachal. Okay, now why this Sarichu River basically is in the news? It is in the news because the China has started, making construction of a village right across the line of actual control. So line of actual control basically divides, the in the Arunachal Pradesh, the Tibet as well as the India, right, from Arunachal Pradesh. So you see basically here, I will show you the pic where the China has already started constructing a village which has already completed across the line of actual control, which basically demarcate India and the China at Arunachal Pradesh, right? And it is basically, this area was never recognized, right? As the China claim that this area was never recognized, right? Arunachal Pradesh. And Ministry of External Affairs also responded that the ministry has already aware of the construction along the line of actual control. So this news is relevant for the construction of a village, which is basically already done across the line of actual control in the Arunachal Pradesh, right? Many people say that the village construction is well within the Indian boundary, right? So here you must understand that the village was built between November 2019 and November 2020. So before that, before November 2019, there was no village. There was no village, only one or two hutments were there. But now extensive built up area have been generated. So that means a village have been constructed, right? And it has been located couple of kilometers across the LAC, right? Or line of actual control. So it is located beyond, right? And it is basically what India sees as a border separating Arunachal Pradesh as a Tibet, because line of actual control actually separates the Tibet from the India. All right, and the Sarichu River basically flows through this, this whole episode. So you see here, this is the basically diagram. So first you see the diagram. So it is the picture of, the Upper Subansiri district, where in the August 2019 you see there were no such settlement over there, right? But in the November 2020, you see the pictures where extensive built up area have been generated. So it is basically a built up area. So this built up area have been come out extensively in the form of hutments, right? So it is an extensive built up area which have been built by the China across the line of actual control. And you must understand the site of the village where the village is now constructed is where, the China basically attacked the India in 1959. So China in 1959 also attacked the India, right? Especially on the Assam Rifles in 1959, which was also known as the Longyu incident. The Longyu incident, and it is basically at least 2 kilometers south of McMahon line. So McMahon line, what India recognized between the boundary between the Tibet and the India, the China do not recognize this McMahon line, right? So China never recognized this McMahon line, which basically separates the Tibet from the India. All right. And after 1962 war, when the war was occurred between the India and the China, the China stopped patrolling this area that was basically constructed by the China. All right. And another village was also constructed by the China, but that village was constructed well within the boundaries of Bhutan. So it is the in the geographical territory of the Bhutan, a village was built. This village was known as Pangada, right? This Pangada village was built 2 to 3 kilometers inside what Bhutan Sea its territory. So it is yet another area or another encroachment where the China is building such illegal constructions or illegal structures well within other countries' jurisdiction. So first village which is basically built right here well within the boundary of the Bhutan, which is also known as Pangda, and this is the village which was constructed well within the boundary of Arunachal Pradesh in India, right? Again, the China refused to claim this or refused to accept this, and very categorically claim that this area never recognized Arunachal Pradesh, right? So it has the authority to build the village over there. All right, so you can see picture here. The picture is very clearly seen here that construction have been built up over there, and these are basically houses which have been built by the China across the line of actual control. All right, next, exercise Kavach. Okay, so it is basically a joint military exercise which is also known as exercise Kavach. So it involved only Indian armed forces. So only Indian armed forces involved. So you see Indian Army, Indian Navy, Indian Air Force, and Indian Coast Guard. All four are involved, right? Which are basically conducting a joint military exercise, right? On the aegis of Andaman and Nicobar Command. So it is a one command which we have set up, right, for Andaman and Nicobar Island. So under the aegis of Andaman and sorry, under the aegis of Andaman Nicobar Island, the Indian Armed Forces, Indian Army, Indian Navy, Indian Air Force, and Indian Coast Guard would basically conduct a joint military exercise for operational purpose, right? Or for exercise purpose in case of any defense related mechanism. All right. So this exercise basically involved a synergized application of maritime surveillance assets, because you must understand the China is also expanding its leg, especially in the Indian Ocean region, right? So the maritime surveillance is very much important. The maritime surveillance is not only important from the China's perspective, but also important from the safety perspective, from the security perspective, isn't it? So it is basically very important, and it will be the application of maritime surveillance assets, coordinated air and the maritime strikes. It will also involve some sort of air defense, submarine operations, landing operations. All right, so everything which is basically a synergized in a in a platform which is also known as the exercise Kavach. So these armed forces would be conducting an exercise for better operationality in this area. All right. हाँ पलट दीजिए. All right, so you see basically this tri-service exercise which involves the Indian Navy, Indian Air Force, and Indian Army, right? Which basically aimed at fine-tuning the joint war fighting. capabilities as well as the standard operating procedures towards enhancing the operational synergy in the real time, right? So all the three armed forces, right, which will be involved in the exercise, right? Here the exercise, they will be fine tuning with the war fighting capabilities, right? Especially under the auspices or under the command of Andaman and Nicobar command, and it will also, enhance the operational synergy of each of these, armed forces. All right. So it is a picture you can see the Indian Navy, Indian Armed Force, or Indian Army, and Indian Air Force also. All right. Next, Namru. So first of all, Namru, basically, a town or a small town, basically, in the Assam region, right? So it is basically a small town located in the Assam. So first of all, why it is Namru? It is in the news. The Union Minister for the Chemicals and the Fertilizers basically, chaired a meeting on upcoming 12.7 lakh million metric tons per annum capacity. So that is a capacity for the urea plant, which is going to be constructed, or which is going to be, constructed in the Namru town of Assam. So the capacity for this urea plant would be 12.7 lakh mmtpa capacity at the Namru town. All right. And the Namru, this fourth unit is important for ensuring the local development and creation of job opportunities, especially in the Namru region. So you see, basically, this is basically very important, not only for the local development perspective, but also for creation of job opportunities. So here the meeting was chaired by the Union Minister for Chemicals and the Fertilizers, right? On, on upcoming the urea plant. So let's understand about the Namrup. So Namrup, as I told you, is a small town which is located close to the foothills of the Greater Patkai mountain range. The Greater Patkai mountain range basically located in the extreme southeast portion of Assam, right? So the Namrup is a small town which is located over there, and the river Dehang or Desang basically flows through the, this town, and administratively the Namrup basically comes under the Dibrugarh district of Assam. The Dibrugarh is a basically district in the Assam, and today the Dibrugarh is also most important industrial town of Assam. And Namrup is basically first place in India where the natural gas based fertilizer factory was established. So it is the first place in India where the urea is basically constructed or manufactured, right, with the help of natural gas, So for the manufacturing of the urea, the ingredients or the inputs we use basically the natural gas, the steam, and nitrogen. The nitrogen will be taken from the air, steam will be taken from the water, and we basically use the natural gas as a raw material for manufacturing of the urea in the Namrup region of Assam. So it is basically a factory, or it is basically a plant where the urea will be manufactured. All right. Next, India Science. So you see basically here the India Science, which is basically nothing but the over the top channel. So it is a channel which is basically named at India Science. So it is a nation's science and technology over the top channel, which was basically, developed by the Department of Science and Technology, right? And it was formally launched in 2019. So it was formally launched in 2019. So this 2020 basically is completed its second year for its existence. So on the 15th of January 2021, basically it's completed second year of its existence. And India Science is basically nothing but the over the top channel, which is the nation's science and technology over the top channel, which was launched by the Department of Science and Technology. And this channel is basically managed by the Vigyan Prasar. The Vigyan Prasar is basically an autonomous organization under Department of Science and Technology. All right. And the main aim of creation of this India Science is to create a scientific awareness among the people or among the citizens of this country, right? Also to create a scientific temper among the citizens of this country, right? As well as dissemination of the latest technology which is prevalent today, right? Like over the top. And it is important for, the Vigyan Prasar to keep pace with it, right? So ultimate purpose of creation of the science channel basically to increase the awareness or to enhance the awareness and the scientific temper among the citizens of this country, right? On the mobile phones, the India Science mobile app can be downloaded from the Google Play Store, or you can also download from Apple App Store, right? And on the Reliance Jio, right? You know about the Reliance Jio. It is available through the Jio TV, Jio STB, and Jio Chat, right? And it is also available on the YouTube also. So you can also access through YouTube also. And with the impending launch of India Signs to Jio phone app, right? So it is basically going to have the windfall gain both in terms of reach and in terms of interactivity, right, in the coming months. So it is going to be enhanced, right, its reach to the people in terms of interaction with the people, in terms of spreading the scientific awareness, in terms of spreading the scientific temper among the citizens of this country, right? And ultimately with the introduction of the geophone app, with the introduction of various platforms, like Geo TV, Geo STB, Geo Chat, and various other platforms like YouTube, it is going to be going to be or going to reach very high in terms of interactivity with the citizens of this country. All right. Next, section 32A of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. All right. So the Supreme Court basically recently gave the verdict, or it has basically upheld the validity of section 32A, the section 32A of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. All right. So section 32A is related to the Insolvency and the Bankruptcy Code. The Supreme Court basically upheld this section, right? So now you must understand, the Supreme Court basically held in its judgment that a successful bidder for the corporate debtor, right? Because you must understand, there are corporate debtor which are basically having certain debts, right? For them, a successful bidder will be there, which will basically bid for those debts, right, and will ultimately manage that debt. So here what is happening is that the Supreme Court basically held that the successful bidder for the corporate debtor under Insolvency and the Bankruptcy Code would be immune from any investigation. So that means successful bidder which are lawfully bidded for the corporate debtor, right, they will not be undergone any sort of a investigation, right, or any sort of investigation done by any sort of a law enforcement agency like Enforcement Directorate or any other statutory bodies like SEBI. So they are totally immune from investigations conducted by any body. All right. And Supreme Court uphold the validity of section 32A of IBC, right? And here it is most important that the IBC or Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code basically attract the bidders, right, from all over the world, right? And it will basically offer the reasonable and the fair value of corporate debtor. So ultimately, the main purpose is to to bid out those corporate debt to the eligible bidders, right? And it will ensure that timely completion of the corporate insolvency resolution process will be there, and we can free out those bad assets from the insolvent process. All right. And the protection to the successful bidders and the assets of the corporate debtor are provided by rules under section 32A of IBC. It is a technical thing, that protection, whatever it is there under section 32A of IBC, already provide the protection to the successful bidder as well as the assets of the corporate debtor, right? So Supreme Court further held that such immunity will be applicable only when if there is a approved resolution plan, right? If there is no approved resolution plan, such immunity will not be provided, and it will be provided in the case of change in the management control of the corporate debtor also. All right. Next, Signal. So Signal is basically just like a WhatsApp. Okay, because WhatsApp is owned by the Facebook. Okay, and recently you have seen a news that basically WhatsApp has changed its privacy policy. Okay, and because of that, it has basically triggered some sort of protest among the mass media. So what is happening is that many people started switching from the WhatsApp to Signal. All right. So it is basically triggering a mass digital migration, especially of the users from the WhatsApp to the Signal. So Signal is just like WhatsApp. It is a messaging platform, right? So it is a messaging platform. It is a rival. So it is a rival of the WhatsApp, and it has gained momentum, or the triggering of mass digital migration has gained the momentum after Elon Musk, right, who urged his followers to basically switch over to Signal app. So what is Signal app? So Signal app is basically cross-platform centralized encrypted message service, which is basically developed by the Signal Technology Foundation and the Signal Messenger LLC. So it is basically a rival for just like a WhatsApp, and it is basically a non-profit foundation which was launched in 2018, right, with the initial funding of 50 million US dollars from the Brian actor. And it uses basically internet just like a WhatsApp, right? You can send through the signal, just like a WhatsApp, one to one, the group messages, right? So you can send also the files, you can send the voice notes, you can send the images, you can send the videos, right? And you can use this platform to make one to one, voice call, to have the group voice call, the video calls, just like a WhatsApp. All right. And the signals uses a standard cellular telephone number, just like a WhatsApp. Whatever we are using the WhatsApp also based on the number only. So it also uses a standard cellular telephonic number as the identifiers. Okay. And it basically secures all communications to other signal users with end-to-end encryption. So end-to-end encryption is also there, right, with WhatsApp also. Okay. Next, the quantum computing application lab. So let's understand what is quantum computing application lab. So it is basically a lab which will be established, right, with the help of the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, and in that collaboration with the Amazon Web Services. So the Amazon Web Service will collaborate with the Ministry of Electronics and the Information Technology to establish a quantum computing application lab in our country, right? The ultimate purpose of creation of this quantum computing application lab is, right, to accelerate the quantum computing led research and the development, and basically enable the new scientific discoveries in our country. So it is basically research oriented, right? We should lead the cutting edge research in the quantum mechanics, as well as it will enable the new scientific discoveries with the help of the Amazon Web Series. All right. And this lab, which is also known as quantum computing applications lab, would provide the quantum computing as a device to the government ministries, right? So such device or such services, right, would be provided to the government ministries, department, researchers, scientists, academia, developers, right, which will enable advancement in such areas like manufacturing, healthcare, agriculture, right, aerospace engineering, and that will basically build a further discovery in the quantum mechanics. All right. And the Amazon Web Series will basically provide the hosting with a technical and the programmatic support for the lab. So just like a Amazon Web Series you might have heard about, right, it will also provide the technical and programmatic support for the lab, and also it will also provide a host for this lab. And the lab is the world first quantum computing application lab on the Amazon Web Series, right? The ultimate purpose of this quantum computing application lab, right, to support the national government mission to drive innovation in our country. All right. Next, regulatory compliance portal. So it is a regulatory compliance portal, means the portal will be there, right? So this portal is under Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, that is DPIIT, under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So the Ministry of Commerce and the Industry has launched a portal which is known as Regulatory Compliance Portal. Okay, the idea of creation of this portal or idea of launching this portal is to minimize the regulatory compliance burden. So you must understand, whenever you are going to open any business or going to start any business in our country, right, you need to comply a lot of formalities. So you need to comply with that, right? You need to have certain set of filing the forms and taking permissions, right, taking licenses. So a lot of compliance burden will be there for the businessman and for the citizens also sometime, right? So the ultimate purpose of this regulatory compliance burden is to minimize that regulatory compliance burden for the citizens as well as for the businessman. Okay. And the objective of this portal, which was launched on 1st of January 2021, right, the idea is to act as a bridge, right? So it will act as a bridge between the citizens and the industries at one side and the government of India in the another side, right? So it will act as a bridge, right? The ultimate purpose of creation of this bridge is to minimize the burdensome compliances on the business person or on the people also. So it will minimize that burdensome compliance. All right. And it will also act as the first of its kind, the central online repository of all the central and the state level compliances. All right. So you must understand that it will also act as a central online repository where you can have all the central and the state level compliances at one platform. All right. And here the mechanism is that all central ministries in the department, all state government and the union government, their ministries in the department, all will examine their own laws, their own regulations, their own rules, right? After examining, right, they will implement an action plan, right? So ultimately to implement an action plan to rationalize and simplify all the process, right? So whatever the burdensome process are there, right, burdensome laws are there, burdensome regulations are there, so they will rationalize it, they will simplify it, right? And they will basically remove the burdensome compliance which are there with respect to such rules and regulations, right? And here the details regarding such removal of such burdensome compliances would be captured and it will be tracked on the regulatory compliance portal so that it can be used for for the benefit of the business persons. All right. And industry stakeholders also will be involved here. So trade bodies like Confederation of Indian Industry, FICCI, and ASSOM, both all three will be involved. And these trade bodies will be able to send their suggestions, their recommendations, right? So that based on certain suggestions, based on certain recommendations, they will be assessed by the concerned department ministries. And after accession or after assessment, right, the department and the ministry will take the suitable action, right? The ultimate purpose of taking this feedback or the recommendation is to minimize the regulatory compliance burden on the people, on the citizens, or on the business persons. All right. Then Risa. So what is the Risa? It is, first of all, you must understand, it is a signature textile of Tripura, right? So first of all, it is a hand woven cloth. The Risa is customary hand woven cloth, which is basically used by the Tripura's indigenous tribal community. So why it is news, or why this, Tripura's, why it is customary hand woven cloth is in the news? Because Tripura Chief Minister Biplab Kumar Dev, right, has made, the statement with the support of, right, with the support of the Risa, which is nothing but the customary hand woven cloth, which will be mainly used, or which are mainly used by the Tripura's indigenous tribal community. Okay. And Biplab Dev government, which is the Tripura's government, is now trying or now eyeing to promote the Risa as a signature textile of Tripura nationally. So it want to promote this, Risa as the signature textile of the Tripura nationally throughout the country. All right. And regarding the uses, the Risa is basically used as a headgear. You might have heard, you might have seen also, the female basically use that headgear, right? It is also used as a stole, the female upper cloth, right? As well as sometimes it is also presented as a honor to the distinguished recipient during, the visit to the Tripura. So it has diverse applications for the uses, right? It has also cultural significance, like apart from the beautiful designs which is this Risa is also having, the Risa also plays the host of crucial social utilities, right? So it will be involved in some certain set of social utilities also. And it was told that the adolescent Tripura girls was given first time Risa to wear, whenever she reaches the 12 to 14 years, right, in an event that is called Risa ceremony. That is called Risa ceremony. All right. So adolescent girls basically given this Risa when they reaches to their 12 to 14 years, generally in an event which is also known as a Risa ceremony. And it is also used apart from the social, congregations. It is also used in the religious festivals also, like Gariya Puja, which is a customary festival of the tribal communities in the Tripura region, right? It is also used as a head turban, which is basically used by the male, right, during the weddings and the family and the festivals also. So Risa has tremendous, significance in the socio-cultural aspect of the Tripura, especially in the tribal belt of the Tripura. it beard, or the Risa is basically used by the adolescent girls. It is used by the women. It is used by the, during the religious festival. It is used during the social events. It is used during, during wedding. It is used during the festivals, right? So it has lot of significance, and because of that, the Tripura government trying to promote the Risa nationally. All right. So it is the Risa. You can see basically the hand woven cloth. All right. Next, the Liang Tadong cave. So let's understand Liang Tadong cave. So this Liang Tadong cave basically is found in Indonesia. So why this Liang Tadong cave is in the news? Because the archaeologists basically found, the world oldest cave art. So the archaeologists have been found the world oldest known cave art, which is basically the cave art in the form of wild pig. So they have discovered the world oldest cave art in the form of the wild pig, in the form of wild pig. The age for this painting is basically, depicted as at least 45,500 years old. So it is basically 45,500 years old picture, or which is basically depicted as a wild pig, and which was found in the Liang Tadong cave. All right. And this pig is also known as the Sulawesi Warti pig painting, right? So it is basically the pig which is only found in the Sulawesi island in the Indonesia, and it is found in the limestone cave of the Liang Tadong, and which this pig is only found in the Indonesian region. And this cave painting, which is basically found in the South Sulawesi, right? And it is basically depiction of the Warthi pig, right? It is nothing but a wild boar, which is only endemic to the Indonesian island, right? So it is only found in the Indonesian region. And the cave is basically in the valley, right? The valley is basically enclosed by the steep limestone cliffs. So there are limestone cliffs, and this cave is lying in the valley itself. And this cave is visible only, or this cave is accessible only through the narrow passage, right, during the dry season, because during the rainy season it will be, filled with the water. And here the, some sort of isolated community used to live in this valley, and they have never visited by the westerners over there. And previously, before that, the oldest dated rock painting have been found, which is basically the 43,900 years old, and which was basically depiction of the hybrid human animal being, right, which is basically hunting the Sulawesi Warti pigs and the dwarf bovids. So it is basically also found in this Sulawesi region of Indonesia, but this is the oldest one, which is basically around 45,500 years old, in the form of a picture, in the form of a painting of a wild pig, which is nothing but a wild boar, which is only endemic in the Indonesian region. You can see the picture. So here you see it is a tail, it is the mouth of the wild boar, right? These are the legs of wild boar, right? And it is a picture which is 45,000 years old. All right. That's all. Thank you very much for today's session. We'll meet again tomorrow for our current affairs. Thank you.